Hey everybody, this is Onyx. I want to welcome you to the Profitable Farmer Today and Innovation in Agriculture show. Today I wanted to discuss a little bit about the root of your problem. There's a root and cause of all problems here. And by that, I mean specifically the roots. Now, obviously, farmers of all types, it doesn't matter if you're growing in hydroponic applications in a greenhouse or in a field with row crops or trees, ornamentals, and soil. Any type of plant obviously develops a root structure, and that root structure is critical not only to the survival of the plant, but also to the health and longevity of the plant. The root structure is responsible for several things in terms of a plant's life, right? It's responsible for water absorption, nutrient absorption, as well as foundational structure, just the mechanics of the plant. It's the foundational structure of plants also. So roots are incredibly important to the health of the plant. And in fact, I know a lot of tree growers who had trouble because it's not just a matter of them irrigating, but when they irrigate and fertigate, and they put that stuff right on the top of the soil, the root structure grows laterally, right? It doesn't grow down deep where it digs down into the soil. It just grows laterally along the soil. And then if you have a heavy wind or something like that, it can actually blow the tree over or cause other damage that wouldn't otherwise happen. So the roots are a critical aspect of plant health. And of course, when we're looking at seedlings or we're looking at things that are just beginning to grow, one of the most important things to look at is root structure. And so, any of you guys who are out there growing in types of nurseries or greenhouse, whether you're large or small, or even just regular farmers, you want to pay attention to root structure. And it's very, very important to develop a good root structure because that becomes the foundation for the plant. And over the course of a 6 or 8 month season, we don't always look at root structure. We don't always look at the importance of healthy roots in terms of making sure that that plant is going to be viable and stay viable. So I wanted to showcase you today just a couple of examples of how we're improving root growth and root density on trees and other types of crops because this area is very key. And if we ignore that, we spend all this time and money. Just think about all the time and money you're spending on nutrition, the nutritional content of your farm. You're putting fertilizers, you're adding soil amendments, you're doing all these things in the soil to improve root nutrient density in the soil so that the plants have enough food, basically, and water to grow a good crop. But if that root structure is not healthy and is not secure enough, then a lot of your efforts are going to be wasted. In fact, scientists estimate actually that anywhere between 70 to 80% of the nutrients that you're putting into the soil is not being utilized by the plants. And root structure is a big part of that. So we wanted to showcase this and show you guys what we're doing to help farmers with root structure. So if you have questions along the way, please let me know. We'd love to work with you. Greetings from Sierra Leone. Thank you, Mohammed, for being here, and hopefully we can teach you something and help you get going on your farming career here. We got farmers from many different areas. In fact, Africa is one of the areas that's really taken off. We got several farms going already, and more jumping on board every day. So in this particular case, I should actually show this as a slide here. This was an experiment we did actually a couple of years ago. This is when the technology, the Kimonosis plant booster technology was very, very new. It was just one of our first early examples of what we were able to do with cherry trees. Now, the interesting thing about this story is this particular farmer grows a number of different crops. They have a lot of different types of crops. They have hundreds of acres or hectares actually down there all over Peru. And he'd been trying to grow cherry trees. Now, the reason he wanted to grow cherry trees is because this is a very high value, lucrative crop, not only for selling and distributing in and around South America, but also for exporting up here to the United States. Cherries are one of those crops that is just a very, very high value crop. So if you can get them right and get a good crop on cherries, you're going to be making a ton of money. But many farmers have told me that growing cherries is a challenging prospect. It's not easy to do. because cherries are sort of a picky, sort of a finicky type plant. Some years, I've heard farmers say, look, some years when you're growing cherries, you'll do everything right. You'll pay attention to water levels, to nutrition, keep it sprayed, keep everything perfect, and then it won't produce a good cherry crop. And other years you'll miss a fertilization or miss a spraying or something like that, and do a lot of things wrong and still produce an amazing crop. So he says, the cherry growers that I've talked to said a lot of times there's no rhyme and reason to growing cherries. The interesting thing about this particular farm is, excuse me, take a drink there. This interesting thing about this particular farm is, he grows all kinds of different crops. He grows avocados, asparagus, table grapes, and I think he's got over 500 or what was this, 1,500 acres? I can't hectares. I'm sorry, 1,500 hectares. I mean, he's got a huge operation. But like I said, for the last 3 to 4 years, they've been trying to grow cherries down there to increase their profitability. And for the last 3 years, they've had no success. They couldn't get the cherries to really take. They couldn't get the seedlings to really grow. They've been having all kinds of different problems. Well, they decided to try the Kimonosis plant booster down there. And this is, again, was one of our first trials in early 2020, after this technology was released at the end of 2019. So they ran this test, and after 36 days, the cherry trees were already growing and showing signs of improvement. So it was very interesting because, again, they'd had no success growing cherry trees, but they decided to use the Kimonosis plant booster, and they had a control versus a test area. And what they saw is, you see in the picture here, in the bottom right of the corner here, the differences here. You have the Kimonosis plant booster on the left and the control trees on the right. And you see here the control trees, even though they were growing, they're transplanted, but you see how sparse they are. There's almost no branches, no leaves whatsoever. But after watering for only 26 days, the Kimonosis trees had already started to sprout several branches, lots of leaves, and were already growing and well on their way to productivity. And so he was asking himself, so why is that? It didn't make any sense to him that we could help him get such a difference in such a short period of time. I mean, this is one of those results that we look at and say, we actually stopped showing this slide to a lot of farmers because no farmer was believing this, right? No farmer could believe there was such an amazing difference in only 26 days. But he was so amazed by it that he said, I have to find out what's going on here. And so he dug up several of his trees. And what he saw was the Kimonosis plant booster, or what we call the crop booster down in South America, was producing a much denser, much more robust root structure. And you can see in the top picture here that the root structure here in the crop booster field had lots and lots of these little tendrils, lots of deeper taproot, much thicker, much denser root structure. And you could even see where that root structure was starting to break up the soil a little bit better versus the control, very thin root structure, very sparse, and just not doing as well. So the fact that the Kimonosis plant booster was able to stimulate this root growth and root structure in the early phases of this seedling's growth, I believe they were like 2 or 3 month old seedlings when they were planted here when we started this experiment. And then after only an extra month, he said that the cherry trees were already looking like they were 2 or 3 months older than they were versus control. And I'll show you the sort of evolution here. Again, when we first started back in December, this is what they look like on the left here. You see, it looks like basically just little more than sticks, no branches, no leaves, no nothing. That's how they looked in December of 2019 when we first started this. And then in January, you're already seeing gigantic differences here, like I showed you before. So you see lots of branches, lots of leaves forming and looking really healthy on the crop booster, Kimonosis plant booster field versus control. And then after 4 months in March, we did another side-by-side comparison using the same trees. And you see the difference here. The one on the right here, the control, did start to grow some branches and some leaves. But you look, it's just like 2 or 3 branches. It's not that much. The Kimonosis bush, by contrast, is already developing a canopy. It's actually developing several branches and lots of leaves. And that tree, that seedling, is now really taking off. And all because we enhanced the root structure in the early phases of development. Now, with the plant really needs two things to be healthy and thriving. The first needs a very good, strong root structure so that it can contact and absorb the water and nutrients that it needs. And the second is a good canopy or a good leaf structure so that there's enough surface area on the leaves to generate energy using sunlight through photosynthesis. If you don't have a lot of root development, the plant won't get the nutrients and water it needs. Conversely, if you don't have a lot of leaf and canopy structure, the plant's not going to be have enough surface area, enough sunlight energy to be converting those nutrients into usable forms or glucose, which is what it needs to survive. So I wanted to show you that, and then I wanted to show you another example of that. So this is not just an isolated example of one time when we increase root structure. We have several examples of that, but I wanted to show you one more here. This is a different farm. Okay, and this particular farm grows lemons. And this was another situation. Again, it was another early example, one of our first trials that we did in South America. And the really cool thing about this is the farmer did the same thing. He couldn't figure out why the trees look so much greener and healthier. And you can see here in the middle picture, the crop booster or Kimonosis plant booster trees. You just look closely. It's hard to see. I wish I had a bigger picture, but you see how deep green the leaves are and how healthy those plants look. And that was kind of a surprise to him because he didn't add a lot of extra nitrogen or other chemicals, which would indicate that a reason for them being so much greener. They were all watered the same way. They were all given the same nutrition, and yet the Kimonosis plant booster has a much deeper green, and that basically means that the trees are going to be able to collect more energy from the sunlight and produce more fruits and vegetables. And I haven't checked back with this guy. I believe he saw about a 20 to 30% increase in overall yield this year. But if you look at the two pictures here on the middle and the bottom, the crop booster trees are much greener, much healthier looking than the control field, which looks more pale green in comparison. And again, he couldn't figure out why. So they did the same thing. They dug up several of their trees, and what he saw was pretty amazing. And the top picture here shows what he saw here. On the left, you have the Kimonosis plant booster root system, which again, see how much thicker and denser that taproot is, and how much longer these root tendrils are coming off of the main branch there. Versus control have very, very thin root structure and not doing nearly as well, not nearly as healthy. And that makes a huge difference. Again, if the plant has a well-developed root structure, it's going to be able to grow faster, get the nutrition that it needs, and it's going to, of course, if you have a good photosynthesis process going in the plant, it's going to basically produce a lot more energy and a lot faster. So when people ask us, how are you able to get such huge numbers? Because most types of fertility programs or fertilizers, if you increase, if you get a 5% increase or even a 10% increase, that's a huge, huge differential when you're talking about chemical fertilizers and regular fertility programs. But we're seeing routinely numbers of 20, 30, 40%. And people keep asking us, how are you getting these numbers? How are you getting these results that are so much beyond what normal farmers are doing? And the answer to that question is we're increasing and improving the root structure to give that plant a solid foundation in its early phases of growth. And secondly, we're improving the leaf structure and really allowing that plant to produce a lot of energy during photosynthesis. So it's just science. It's not magic. It's not some kind of miraculous result here. It's actually just scientific results. When you can improve the quality of the root system and quality of the overall plant, you're going to get better production. So, at the end of the day, you really want to look at these things. Sometimes, of course, we all want to keep chasing production and improving things and doing the same thing. But there comes a point, and every now and then there comes a point where you have to look at what are you doing. Is the things that you're doing just stepwise adding little bits and little increments, or are you actually interested in something that's going to have a long-term benefit for your farm? And that's really what the Kimonosis plant booster is about. It's scientifically proven device that it enhances photosynthesis, it enhances root production. It even enhances microbial activity in the soil. So the microbes in the soil are going to work, helping to convert those minerals and nutrients into usable forms for the plant. And then beyond that, we're enhancing the root structure so the plant is able to contact and absorb those nutrients and water more efficiently. So that's really the secret sauce behind our device. It's nothing It may sound a little strange when you hear about radio wave frequencies and direct stimulation of the metabolism, because it is a new science. It's something new. And yes, it's going to take some time for people to get used to it. It's going to take some time for people to, you know, keep talking about it and seeing results. And, we understand this is not something people are just going to jump on board and everybody's going to change their mind about nutrition and chemicals and everything else overnight. But we keep proving ourselves. We keep getting the results out there. We keep showcasing this result. And I wanted to kind of delve a little bit more into the why of we're seeing some of these results in terms of the plant physiology and structure. We're enhancing the root development and root structure of the plants and trees, and from that, we're able to improve the efficiency at which the plant is able to utilize those nutrients. And because of that, we're seeing double-digit increases in yield and better quality and better health in the plants as well. So guys, if you have any questions, I want to open it up for you. I'm going to take a drink of water. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. I want to make this interactive. I really like when people ask me questions because it's more fun to have conversations and dialogue than to lecture here. But what questions do you have about the Kimonosis plant booster, or what we're doing, or how you can take advantage of it? I'm happy to answer them for you. Pardon me. I've actually been in 4 or 5 meetings today, so my voice is kind of catching it a little bit, because I feel like, having meetings with farmers all day long, sometimes I'll end up talking for like 3 hours straight from different farms, different meetings. So I apologize for that. But I don't see any questions here. I guess either I'm explaining this really well and it's just entertaining, or maybe people don't have any questions. But I want to invite you again. Our number is up here, 727-324-6750. You can also go to our website at harvestharmonics.com and check out all of the different case studies that we have. We have probably, I think, over 100 case studies on our website right now. So if you're looking to make more money this year and you want something that's really going to take your farm to the next level, please take us up on our offer and utilize the Kimonosis plant booster. And just so you guys know, we work with all types of farming operations and all sizes, everything else. We would deal with nurseries, we deal with gardeners, even we deal with large farming operations, big fields, row crops, commodity crops, anything in between. So, if you guys, especially if you guys are specialty growers, you guys will make a lot more money with Kimonosis plant booster, and we'd love to work with you. So, just let me know, guys, what questions you have. I'm not seeing anything. So I tell you what, guys, if you do have questions, please, we would love to hear from you. If you want to get a quote on the Kimonosis plant booster, we do need some basic information for you. We need to know what the flow rate of your irrigation system is. We need to know how big the pipe size is and some other basic details. We've put that quote form link in the comments of this presentation. So feel free to click on that and fill out a request for quote form. And we can work with you one-on-one to determine the best system for your farm. But we do work with farmers of all types. The only thing we don't work with is medical cannabis or medical marijuana growers, specifically because we do not support drug growth. We do work with industrial hemp and non-THC related plants. So if you have industrial hemp, we can definitely help you there. Otherwise, just give us a call. We would love to work with you. So that's all I got for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me here. Hopefully we're able to educate you a little bit as far as how we're improving root structure and how important it is, because if you don't have a good root structure, then your plants are going to be weak. They're not going to have the nutrition they need, and you're always going to be fighting an uphill battle to get those plants producing if they don't have a healthy root structure. So utilize our technology, and we would love to work with you. And the question came up, do you guys work with Africa? Yes, we do have several farms in Africa already using this product, and we do work with different farms. So if you have a farm in Africa, fill out a request for quote form. Let us know what crops you're growing, how many acres you have. It does require an irrigation system. I will let you guys know that our device right now requires an irrigation system, or at least a hose, some way to water the plants with our device. So if you're a dryland farmer or not irrigating, I can't help you yet, but still stay tuned. Keep in touch with us, because we are developing foliar or non-irrigating applications also. But that's about all we got today. I just want to thank you so much here for joining us at the Future of Farms today. And we'll see you again next week, where we're going to try and have some really special guests for you. I'm going to tease it and not really go into who it is yet because I don't want to jinx it. But we really want to stay tuned here, and we're going to have some farming experts coming on here and explaining what they're doing to help farmers around the world, just as we are, because we want to make farming a lucrative and, of course, a very honorable profession. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate the time. Have a great